All right, everybody. Good late morning. Still Victory Monday. Still feeling pretty good around here, but we got to keep up our schedule. And even though the regular season is over, we're going to be doing our Snap Count Monday today. If anything, today is kind of a very special Snap Count Monday because now we can officially look at the season as a whole and really judge where everything landed. So, could be a little bit longer than a typical Snap Count Monday. I don't know, but we're going to do it. We're going to get through it, and we're going to see exactly where the Seahawks landed in terms of their usage. So, I'm going to start with the offense like we always do. Going to go to the defense later. Right away, we got a promising outcome here. 69 offensive snaps by the Seahawks on offense, which is almost a season high. It's the best they've done since the 84 snaps in game 10. So, not a huge outlier, but still very good. All right, guys, let's take a minute so I can tell you about Sleeper, a one-stop shop for all your sports needs. You can celebrate and chat on sports games in real time with other users. You can get the fastest scores, blazing fast sports news and sports alerts right at your fingertips. And of course, you can use Sleeper to play in fantasy leagues and win real money on picks contests. This is the way sports were meant to be enjoyed together. So download Sleeper today. Use promo code SBN to get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. And you can pair that with another promo they have right now where you can get a $20 entry free with no deposit required. So get both of those things going. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states and growing. So check out Sleeper today. Get to it and go have some fun with sports this year. And that puts us at 1,064 total on the season, which is fine. Would have liked to have seen a little bit more, but the kind of offense that the Seahawks had this year was not going to be an offense that ran a ton of plays because for the first half of the year in particular, they were a big play offense, and big play offenses typically do not run a lot of plays because they have big plays. Now, going to the running backs here, Charbonnet actually outsnapped Walker 39-29. So Charbonnet for the what is this? The actually fourth game in a row got more snaps than Walker, but Walker had a little bit more production. Robbie Oots actually played more than he's played in a while. He got 21 snaps, and I actually thought he played pretty good. I actually got the sense that he was out there helping the team. And Cam Akers got one snap, his first snap as a Seahawk, probably the only snap he'll get as a Seahawk, but he got on the field. Now, for the whole season, where does that leave us? Neither running back for Seattle got over 500 snaps. Charbonnet would have if he didn't miss game number 3 against New Orleans, but regardless, he didn't. And I think that's great because neither of these guys have proven they can be every down bell cows. Neither of these guys have proven that they are the kind of running back you want out there constantly. So being able to work it out to where Walker plays 17 games, Charbonnet plays 16 games, and neither guy goes over 500 snaps, and both guys end up playing less than 50%, I think is phenomenal. And I'm really excited about that. It makes me believe that there was a plan in place here, and the plan was executed extremely well. So less than 500 snaps for Walker and Charbonnet. We got to about 200 with Robbie Oots, by the way, so makes sense. I will say for most of the season, I don't feel like he was much of a net positive, but this last game, I think we're headed in the right direction. So overall enthused about that. Wide receiver, JSN, 57 snaps out of 69. So again, he gets a decent chunk of plays off. Very interesting the way this Seattle offense operates. Cooper Kupp gets almost as many snaps, 53, so he plays most of the game. Shaheed plays about half the game. Maybe that was just because he was coming off the concussion. We wanted to be careful. I don't know. But he never really did become a full-on part of the offense. He's definitely a part-time guy offensively. Jake Bobo, 9 snaps. Derek Young, 8 snaps. So just picking up little bits and pieces of playtime here and there. Not much to say. So looking at the season as a whole, JSN plays about 78% of the snaps, and he never got hurt. So even in this ultra high usage season that the dude had, we still paced him. Cooper Kupp. I said before the season started, if we could get 12 games out of Cooper Kupp this year, that's great. We got 16. He missed one game. 768 snaps. Over 72%. That's phenomenal. I'm not saying his production was always great, but it was never going to be in this offense anyway. And hey, no complaints there. He gave us more than I thought. Shaheed, a little under 300 snaps. Obviously, he joined halfway through. Hard to really judge. Horton, when he was out there, if you combine Horton and Shaheed, you get to almost 50% for whatever that's worth. And then you get little bits and pieces of playtime for Bobo, Young, White. Ricky White got a few snaps as well, but not much to report. So, again, good balance. Tight end. AJ Barner actually played 42 snaps, so a little bit less than he usually gets. Eric Saubert, I didn't notice this watching the game. Eric Saubert played more than Barner. And Barner didn't get hurt. He did leave the game for a little bit, but it wasn't because he got hurt. He probably needed to use the restroom. That's what a lot of people think happened because it didn't seem like he got hurt. So, regardless, I don't think the injury was what caused it, but I guess we wanted to run the ball so much. Saubert was just constantly out there. And oh yeah, Brady Russell. Brady Russell got 4 snaps. It might have all been in garbage time though, I'm not sure. It obviously wasn't overly impactful, but you look at the season as a whole, Barner, about 78% of the snaps. I'm pretty thrilled with that. It was a good 78% too, right? It didn't feel like he wore out at the end of the year or anything like that. Saubert ended up giving us about 26%. And remember, he got hurt and missed 6 games in the middle of the year. So that's a pretty good rate as well. But obviously, I think there was an intent for Elijah Arroyo to be a bigger part of the offense than he was. The injury didn't help, but even before the injury, he wasn't playing as much as I think people thought. And I think that kind of unseated our plan a little bit. But you see the vision here, I think. You can see the plan. Nick Collerup, by the way, ended up playing a non-trivial amount as well, about 12% of the snaps on the course of the year. Brady Russell, very little, not much to say there, 58 snaps in 17 games. Offensive line, I don't talk a lot about offensive line snap shares because it's rarely all that compelling. Like in this game, all the starters played all 69 snaps except for Josh Jones, who missed 1 snap. Amari Kite got that snap. Amari Kite also had another snap where he lined up as a tight end, I think in a jumbo package. I can't remember exactly when it happened, but that doesn't really tell me that much, right? That just tells me that Josh Jones got hurt for 1 play and Amari Kite came in because it had to be him. So you look at the snap shares on the whole this season, I think the thing that really stands out is availability, right? Gray Zabel played about 99% of the snaps. Bradford played about 98%. Abraham Lucas played all but like 3 snaps the whole season, basically 100%. The only guy who missed significant time in the starting lineup Cross, I did miss the last 3 games. Okay. But he still played a significant majority of the season. Thundel was the only guy under 70%, who obviously gave his snaps to Oluwatimi. And you don't expect to get through the year completely unscathed, right? Somebody's going to go down for a little bit. And we end the season looking like we're going to be completely healthy for the first playoff game up front. So really good. So that's what I would try to take away from that. We had 3 guys play basically the entire season, which is remarkable. Okay, going over the defense now, 42 snaps, which is unconscionable. 42 snaps, less than 175 yards allowed, 3 points allowed. That's goofy stuff right there. That's the kind of stuff that you never see happen in the NFL almost. And look, we didn't get very balanced, right? We had 1,122 snaps defensively, so we basically played a game's worth of extra snaps defensively. But we got closer, and I think that there are a couple of outliers here that were kind of weird. Like, we didn't play badly defensively. Things just kind of went that way. and it wasn't necessarily indicative of anything troubling to me. I guess I should say. I would say, like, there were some games here where we played a lot of snaps defensively, but I didn't take it as an indictment of the defense or even necessarily the offense. It's just game flow sometimes. Stuff happens. Okay. So in this game, 42 snaps. No defensive lineman had to play more than 30 snaps because we had so few. Murphy played 30. Williams played 29. Reed played 17. Healy played 4. Mills played 3. And by the way, Mike Morris, who, Mike Morris is listed here. He did not play at all. So basically, we just got to use 3 guys in a rotation, and nobody got winded. Well, I should take that back. Murphy did get winded at one point in this game, but I mean, there's not a significant load here. And you can see that over on the course of this season, yeah, I would have preferred to be a little bit, to reduce the load on Williams a little bit because he is an older player. But, Murphy's a young guy. He can take on 800 snaps in a season, 17 games. It's not even 50 snaps a game. And Jarran Reed got hurt. Jarran Reed missed 4 games. It's kind of hard to have him in there lightening the load if he's not playing. If Reed had played all 17 games, which, I mean, he was one kind of fluky injury away from doing that, Leonard Williams and Byron Murphy are probably closer to like 750 snaps. Other than that, Mike Morris ended up playing about 10 snaps a game. Brandon Peely about 9 snaps a game. Not a ton you can learn from that necessarily, but it was nice to have them around. I would have liked to have had one more impact defensive lineman. Riley Mills would have been nice, but obviously he just came back at the very end of the year. So there isn't much you can say there. Hopefully next year, a guy like Riley Mills can be a valid rotational player so we can try to reduce the load on Williams down to like maybe 700 snaps. I think that would be a nice place to be. But we did good. Linebacker, Ernest Jones plays the whole game. Drake Thomas plays 30 snaps, so he gets a decent chunk of the snaps off, as we do pretty much every game we play. Sometimes all the linebackers aren't out there. So on the year, Ernest Jones, he's always out there when he's healthy. He did miss a little bit of time this year. Ended up playing just under 81% of the snaps, about 900 total. Drake Thomas played 764 snaps, 68%. Pretty good. Remember, Drake Thomas was the starter to start the year, and our Tyrese Knight was the starter to start the year. Drake Thomas slowly yanked it away from him over time, and it worked out. Having Drake Thomas around ended up working out really well because without him, once Tyrese Knight kind of, I don't know exactly what happened with Tyrese Knight. It seemed like he just kind of got, he never got past the injury that he was working through in the offseason. There would have not been much that we could have done. And Pat O'Connell played 5% of the snaps. Not much to say, but, non-trivial. Okay, edge rusher. This is where beautiful music gets made. Uchenna Nwosu plays almost exactly half of the snaps, about 52%. Played 23 in this game, by the way. More than half the snaps and still only 23. So he ends up at less than 600. Boye Mafe, 16 snaps. So he's still kind of an afterthought on defense. But I'll say this. I think he made some impact plays in that game. I did not mind the way Boye Mafe played the last couple games. He's trying to earn that next contract somewhere. Like, it feels like he's come alive a little bit here. He ends the season having played exactly 50% of the snaps. Derek Hall, remember, Derek Hall's been hurt, and he also lost a game to a suspension. He's at about 37% for the year. By the way, in this game, it was exactly half of the snaps, 21. If he did not get hurt and did not get suspended, he probably would have been right at 50% as well. And then you had DeMarcus Lawrence. This is kind of the guy who we ended up really, I think, leaning on DeMarcus Lawrence more than I think we anticipated this year because he ended up being so good. And you can see that there are some games here where he's just out there for 50, 60 snaps, and I don't know if it was good. And like in this game, he played 26 snaps. That's beautiful. He still plays more than half the game, but he's not going to get worn out playing 26 snaps. But we ended up giving him 626 snaps on the year. I think that's more than we thought we were going to. And I'm not sure if that was the plan. He just ended up being so good, we couldn't help but put him out there. I think that we would have preferred our younger guys eat more snaps in the regular season so that guys like Lawrence and maybe even Nwosu have more for the postseason. But obviously, we have the number one scoring defense in football. I don't think you'd rewrite anything. All right, cornerback. Yeah, and there's not really much. Oh, by the way, there's not much else to say about like Jared Ivey and Connor O'Toole. They didn't play very much at all. Cornerback Devin Witherspoon ended up missing a good chunk of the season to injury. Didn't even play 2/3 of the snaps, but still over 700 snaps. Still made the Pro Bowl. Played every snap in this game. The Reek Woolen and Josh Jobe rotation at corner has persisted, which I think we got to move past that now. I think that Woolen is playing so well, and he's starting to play effectively in run support, that I think you got to kind of roll it over and just say Woolen's the guy now, and Jobe is. He can play a little bit in certain packages, but for the most part, he's going to be a backup now. And I know Jobe is a pretty good player. I'm not somebody who hates on Jobe. He's just not as good as these other guys. He's just not. And Woolen is locked in right now. I want him on the field as much as possible. He was out of about a third of that game on Saturday. I think that's a mistake. Even though he did end up playing more than Jobe, I think Woolen needs to basically be the full-time starter until the end of the year. So Woolen, by the way, over 800 snaps. So even with the injuries he had and some of the soft benchings, still really far up there. Josh Jobe also right in that same range. So don't forget how valuable Josh Jobe was to this team this year when we had all the injuries that we had. There was a time where Jobe was basically our best corner, and he held it down. And he leads our whole team in cornerback snaps, even if you include Eman Worry. A couple other guys picking up some snaps, not in this game, but overall in the season. Kendrick played over 100 pretty good snaps. Shaq Griffin did a little bit. Nehemiah Pritchett played about 100 snaps. Little bits of experience here and there, not much to say. And then we get to safety, and safety was a little bit of a confusing mess this year because of injuries. Julian Love ended up missing about 59% of the snaps. So 458. He played every snap in this game, but didn't even play half the season this year. Definitely disappointing. And Kobe Bryant, who was starting every game and playing virtually every snap until the last 2 games and a quarter, he still gave you over almost 1,000 snaps, but 87.08, so basically 87% of the snaps. Still really good. Eman Worry, we just talked about him, ended up playing a little more than 2/3 of the season. Remember, he got hurt, and then he needed to work his way up into being a full-time player. And then at some point over the last couple weeks, he's basically become 100% on the field, and it's been great. Okada has ended up playing most of the year. He's played about 2/3 of the snaps defensively this year because he is needed. And he's filled in on both ends, right? He's filled in for Julian Love, and he's filled in for Kobe Bryant. So his value has been tremendous to this team this year. And I'm hoping that he's going to be a Seahawk for the next couple of seasons as well. D'Anthony Bell gave you about 100 snaps before going to Carolina. Derek Reed played a little bit earlier in the year. I think he's in Tennessee now. And that's your snap count Monday. It's a lot of interesting data. For this game in particular, right? Safety was pretty simple, by the way, 42 snaps for all 3 guys. Again, I know Eman Worry's basically a corner at this point, but I list him with the safeties because that's what I had earlier, and I'm going to stick to it. But that's a wrap for the series. Now, I am going to continue doing this for the postseason, I believe, because why not? But the purpose of Snap Count Monday was kind of to understand how good a job the team was doing balancing snap counts, so their players would have legs left for the playoffs. So now that we're here, we should be seeing a lot more of our top players. Like, if this team believes that Leonard Williams and Byron Murphy are much better than any other defensive lineman they have, which is clearly the case, those guys should play as much as humanly possible going forward, especially if the games are competitive, right? Same thing that I just talked about with Woolen. If this team believes that Woolen is bringing more to the table than Jobe right now, which I think is definitely the case, then Woolen should be out there for every snap, and Jobe should only be out there in like dime packages. So I think some of these rotations will be less important in the playoffs, but It's still worth monitoring. Okay. I'll see you guys later. Go Hawks. Everybody have a good rest of your day. More videos coming soon. A little bit longer than the snap count video usually is, but it's the last one of the year, so that makes sense. Everybody have a great rest of your day. Go Hawks. See you guys soon.